This is Dave with Kind, and today we're going to look at how you can enable your users to use API keys to call your APIs securely. We'll end up with an API keys link on your product, which when you click takes you to the Kind self-service portal at API keys. They can see a list of their own. They can generate another API key, give it some permissions, and then take that key and call your API, see what permissions it has, see that the status is active. So how do you set this up? Well, the first thing you're going to want to do inside of settings in your business is head to the self-serve portal. There's other cool settings you can do here, like which your app's return URL when they're done with the portal, or if you're using companies or accounts instead of organization for your multi-tenancy, you can declare that there, as well as which modules are available. So API keys can be done at a user level or an organization level, but this video is focusing on user level API keys. Now, in order for all of your customers to be able to generate their own API keys, you'll want to turn this switch on. Now, if you do have a multi-tenant model and it's their users which have API keys, you do actually have that granular control at an organization level as well. So if we head over to organizations, there's also a self-serve portal link here. You can choose to override the environment settings and choose for your user self-management and for organizations which modules are available. So we're actually saying for Neuron 4JI, users are allowed to generate their own API keys. So that gives you that flexibility and control of determining when your users can or can't generate API keys. Once that's configured here, you'll want to set up your code base with the portal link in order to access the self-serve portal. I'm going to show you inside of a React project how this would work. We supply this handle portal link from our SDKs. The default is that it will go to the profile, but you can also specify if you want it to go to one of the subnav items. In this case, we wanted to add an API keys link that hops straight through into API keys. We have the same for your plans, plan details, self-serve SSO. So it's not particularly pretty, but you can see that it's logging out here. We've got our account and our API keys. So if I was to click on account, then it's going to take me through to this profile page. And API keys hops me straight into this. So it's pretty straightforward to set up. Your user is then able to add the API key as we showed before. So when they're doing that, they can give the API key a name. So Dave's Epic Key. You can choose which API it's for. So if you've got multiple APIs that may have different permissions, so this key is going to be for my test API and it's able to create agents and that's all. Now they get to see the API key only once. So we recommend that they copy it and store it securely. There's an ID if you need to use it that's consistent that you can still access the API with, but this is the key that they're going to want to use. So they'll copy that. We also give them a summary of the API that it's for and the granted scopes that it's for. So I'll go ahead and copy this. They then have 3 active ones here. Maybe they don't want 3 active ones, so they do have the option to revoke the key. So we'll revoke these. These will no longer be active. And they can also rotate the key. So rotating it keeps the same ID for things like API calls, but will generate a new secret or the key for it. So when you rotate that, again, you will only see this once, or your user will only see this once. So we'll copy that. Now, the way it would typically work is in your product, your user would then use that API key to call your APIs. So probably they put it as the authorization header or maybe in the body. That hits your API and you then make a call to us. So you call Kind on your domain name. So in this case, new biz. There's an endpoint where you can send the secret in the body. So you will have received this. So you'll get it out of the payload and then send it across. And this will then return you saying, yep, this API key is okay. It's able to create agents. It's active. This is the user that it's for. And yes, it's valid. And this is when it was last verified and how many times that has been verified. So for example, if I was now to revoke this key and make the same call again, it's now going to say, actually, the status is revoked and it's no longer valid. So therefore, you know that you no longer have to accept that key. And that's essentially all there is to it. Your customers can have full API key management right here in the self-serve portal You don't have to worry about verification, scopes, anything like that. It's all configured within the Kinde dashboard. There are other videos which go into more details around APIs and scopes and how they work, but I'll just give you a quick primer on that. So inside of the Kinde dashboard, you can set up APIs with us. So I've actually done this in advance, but if I go over to APIs, see these were the two APIs that you saw there before. So I've called it some API service. You can see what, create more scopes for it. That's outside of the realm of this video, but just you can effectively set up all those permissions, and then that's what they were seeing in that screen. All right, I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.